love it here. I was tweeting earlier as people responded to the show. This is my maybe 5th or 6th time in Warsaw, and audiences are lovely. People are so welcoming. People are very engaged, I think, when we're giving these presentations. I've been fortunate to tour some of your TV broadcasters here, as well as some of the post-production here in Warsaw and in Krakow. And there's an incredible amount of, to tell you, post-production here. So it's a community that is very, very strong, and I love it. I only wish I could spend more time. It's always 1 or 2 days, and then we have to move on. So. Yeah, so, now you put me on the spot, of course. I'm trying to think of some names. So personal names I'm very bad with, if for no other reason than just the pronunciation. I'm trying to remember if Motion VFX, well, I remember one of the studios that we saw in Krakow was Alvernia.
Alvernia studio, yeah.
And Alvernia was just, it was unbelievable. I mean, having been in post-production in Los Angeles, in Dubai, Singapore, I sort of thought, okay, I've seen some really cool places, and that place, if you're a Star Wars fan, it was without a doubt the most incredible post-production facility. Their sound mixing facility inside of the theater was unbelievable. The sort of Foley studio that they built was just vast and incredible. So you'll forgive me, I'm very bad with names, but I know there are many, and as I said, I've met many over the years, and it's just a very strong community. Yeah. Well,
It should or not?
So here's what I would say to that. As someone who is a photographer, an editor, someone who actually creates content and does all of it remotely, mobily, it's not an English word, in a mobile way, there's no better way to acquire, media, applications, services than in the cloud. And that's not a sales pitch, that's because I don't feel like carrying 20 DVDs of installers. I can't manage dozens of different serials for different discs, and so I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense in the kind of mobile world that we're in, where we're capturing on location, we're very quickly creating or finalizing a product and then uploading from the tablet to YouTube to do an in the street interview or something. I think it just all speaks to that quick and easy accessibility. And also from a business standpoint, I own a publishing and a production company in the US called Music, and very often I have to hire out freelancers. And it used to be, okay, I'll send you a box of 5.5 or whatever it was, and today I can say, okay, I can, for a very inexpensive price, purchase you a 1-month license for Creative Cloud, where you don't just get Premiere and After Effects, but you get everything, so they can play while they're doing their other work and learn other tools and improve their skills. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I guess not for everything, but certainly for the world that we're living in and the software that we're relying on, I think it's a very smart move. Right, and that's obviously that's a big consideration, and especially again in post-production, where I'm sure you've heard some of these big studios, the Life of Pi, these things.
Actually, I have one question about
okay.
that. So.
But yes, I mean, the price point entry is very essential, because I can tell you, when I was an audio engineer and I began my professional career in the music industry. There was a time where we used to charge, I won't say how long ago, because then you'll know how old I am, but there was a time where I used to charge in upwards of 500 euros an hour to do noise reduction and cleanup, or normalization on audio files, because it took all day to render, and this is 20 years ago or something. You couldn't command that today, right? So, and the software, of course, was $10,000 plus some huge hardware that only could run very specific, things. Today, it just makes sense that it has to be affordable. And when it's more affordable, yes, piracy goes down. When students, especially, can purchase everything, it used to be, a year ago, if you wanted Master Collection or any of the suites, it was 1,000 plus euros. And today, 30. If you have CS something, it's very inexpensive to get in, and you don't have to keep it either. You can have it for a month and then not have it. You can have it for a year and stop and then come back. So I think Adobe is really trying to change that perception and change the way people think about legally acquiring software and why it's important for everyone. And I think it's great. So I couldn't give you exact numbers, but it's been an enormous success, far exceeding much of what Adobe initially anticipated. And as referenced on Wall Street in recent analyst calls and things like that, I mean, the adoption of Creative Cloud was so much greater than initially anticipated. And I think a lot of that had to do with the introductory price offering, but also as my colleagues and I toured the world and admittedly, to first start telling people about renting software, basically, right, subscribing to software, it felt strange. It felt strange for us because it was so new for us, for everyone involved. I think as the weeks and months went by and people started to see that it makes sense, and particularly in post-production where we're so heavily reliant on freelancers and bringing people in, as I said, the cost for myself to do this even a year ago, having to buy a suite for someone to help me, versus today I can spend 80 euros for a 1 month subscription or whatever it is, and they can get everything and do the work I need. It's amazing, and it's been extremely successful and extremely well received. Now, of course, there's always people who don't want to do that, and today you can still buy the box. There's also been people who say, well, why don't I get the updates that you get in the cloud? I paid more, I have the box. Well, because that's the benefit of going to the cloud. There's no other answer. If you go with the cloud, you get things all the time. You're always current. You have new innovations as we release them. If you have a box, you don't, and that's the choice. But again, that too is something that will change and evolve over time as subscriptions become more common with other software vendors.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, what can one say? It's sad. It's a state of the way many things are going these days. But I think a lot of it. I don't know. That world, that extreme high-end world, is not one that I personally work in. So I can't really comment on how a company that makes Oscar-winning stuff suddenly files for bankruptcy. The thing is that the communities are obviously very much hurt by this and in shock over this. I don't know all the details behind it, really. Yes, we've heard the outsourcing cries. I don't know. I didn't hear it firsthand from them, so I don't know all the details. But it's disheartening because, well, you think that a small company not so small, but that a company like that can achieve such greatness and then still effectively fail financially. But then again, great painters, incredible art, failed financially. Many musicians, incredible art, incredible music, failed financially. So, not that that's the same, but and without knowing the full story, I couldn't really tell you. But it's unfortunate, and one way or the other, bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean total death. So I'm sure they'll, reorganize and come back and streamline, and we'll see it again. But it's interesting that hit the community so hard so quickly, and you've seen so many things flying around. And as I said, I don't know the exact details, but they'll come back. Yes, of course. course. And this is, again, now when I was in the music industry years ago, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of success very early on in all places, Nashville, making sort of engineering country records in the early 90s. That was a very big thing in the US. It was great. And shortly after that, I moved to Los Angeles to do sort of rock and stuff, and the stuff that I had done in Nashville meant nothing. So I had to start over, and I tried to do any work I could, and I was, of course, trying to maintain my €500 an hour price. But people were immediately saying, well, I would do it for 100. I'd do it for 50. I'll do it for nothing. And, students today, interns, who are eager will do it for nothing because they can, but if you have a family, you can't. I don't know that there's an answer for that. There's always going to be someone who's going to want to do something cheaper. Of course, in our industry, we know that it hurts. And it hurts the industry, but it happens in print design, it happens in logo design, it happens in web design. Where we are, right? Get a world discussion. Where we are in the world, it's people are hungry, but they're hungry to save themselves, right, in a way. So it's one of these things where ultimately, in the end, and I had a mentor, a brilliant guy, who told me once that true greatness, true beauty, true perfection in whether it's post-production, art, whatever, will always reign supreme. And, if someone's going to undercut a price but delivers an amazing product, well, then they'll probably reap great benefits later on. I can remember being a teenager and doing things for free just to get in the community. And that's something which I think all of us have done one time or another. At some point, you took nothing just to be able to say, I did this, and this was a real job. So, again, I don't know. I don't have a solution for that, and it's unfortunate, and it's happened to me. I mean, I lived it. I saw all of my money go away, and all of my clientele disappear because I was trying to maintain the studio price, and someone down the street was charging half as much. So, but we're still here, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We're still here. So you pick up and you find another way. You find another means to do things that they can't. That's one of the things with, again, going back to Creative Cloud. So if you only edit or you only do VFX, well, now you've got access to all these other things. How about you're a VFX guy, but now you can you know how to animate? Well, Edge Animate uses very similar functionalities and keyframing techniques to After Effects. Suddenly you can be creating amazing web graphics as a VFX artist, which is far, in many cases more, I wouldn't say qualified, but just has a broader understanding of animation because you're doing this on a much larger scale. If you apply those techniques and that skill to the web and to mobile, I mean, you would be a very hot commodity. And then you can name your price. So I try and see these things as a way to reinvent our own creativity. Right? People are always going to try and do things cheaper. That's right. And, the other side of it is that you always charge the same. And eventually, the people who want you will pay it.
Yeah, so you have good quality.
And that's what this man was saying. Good quality will always reign supreme. And, if you don't bend, those who seek it will come to you. So I can't say anything about version numbers. What I can say is that, to no one's surprise, we are on annual release cycles. So in the next few months, there will be a new version, whatever it will be. I can't say, but we are on this kind of once a year, and around the May-ish, April-ish, June-ish time frame is probably when you'll see something. Well, let's put it this way. One of the things that you've seen in After Effects and Premiere is that we've been working a lot over the last 2 years with our partners, whether it's our 3D partners like Cinema 4D or Maya, 3D Studio Max, or in the case of camera manufacturers, whether it's Blackmagic and all of these others, to make better products, to integrate products, workflows, hardware better, and you're going to see more of that in the next version. And we've really been listening. That was one of the things which I think was most evident in the CS6 release, is that after we did 5.5 2.5 years ago, and we still weren't where we wanted to be, right, in the community, we started going out everywhere, here, in Moscow, in Munich, in Amsterdam, and the States, and asked broadcasters, post-production, editors, sound designers, what do you like and what don't you like? What's preventing you from using us all the time? And I mean, we had our engineers sitting in rooms and oftentimes, probably not hearing very nice things. But they took all that down as constructive ideas, constructive criticisms to try and build something better. That's why we reskinned the entire Premiere Pro interface, which I think everyone agrees is beautiful. It feels like you want to edit in front of you. That's why we improved, interoperability with our third-party hardware partners and added things like the Mercury Transmit for output, and bringing in Speed Grade and having sort of a professional, 32-bit color pipe grading tool, because people were asking. They said, yes, After Effects, yes, Color Finesse, yes, Red Giant, but why does your editor not have a companion standalone grading tool? These pieces came together. So I wish I could say more, but they're watching. So. Yeah, well, honestly, from the several dozen that I've met at these shows, I did a video-specific show here in November, so it was all video and post-community. Nothing about it was anything less than extremely professional to me. The questions, the comments, the criticisms were all at a very high level, and the output that I've seen from various designers, whether here in some of the videos local videos that we've shot, has been very impressive. And obviously, you have, maybe perhaps a fairly small community compared to some other countries, neighboring countries, but again, the output, the quality seems to be extremely high, and the knowledge in the community is very, very high, and that's not the case everywhere. So what could I say? Keep doing it, and do it proudly, and effectively, make your product, make yourself worth what your product really is, because even in this room that we're in now, which is in a movie theater, I mean, stylistically, this place is awesome. You don't have theaters like this. California, there aren't. There's an incredible amount of just design aesthetic and beauty here. Again, that studio, I mean, I was completely blown away, and I've been probably 40 countries in the world, in every conceivable kind of post-production, broadcast facility, Dubai, where everything is new and it's so much money and incredible stuff. And still, I'll never forget that place and their logo, or the dragon logo. Right? I can't forget it because it was that unbelievable. And the product that I saw them creating there, now they were using other things too, right? Using our tools with smoke and flame and stuff. And again, broadening their tool set. And that would be my one bit of advice, is that, it never hurts, whether it's in the Creative Cloud set of tools or outside of Creative Cloud, to learn more, to know a little bit about this and that and the other thing, and to really broaden your skill set so that you're increasingly more valuable. And, you have to stay on top of these things. In our world, between codecs, camera formats, I mean, every week there's something new. And now with Ultra HD, chaos. I mean, and they're talking about 8K, right? We don't even really have 4K yet, and now in broadcast, but now they're already talking 8K. It's hard to stay on top of everything and to stay competitive and to stay creative. But from everything I've seen in Warsaw, Krakow, you're very competitive, you're very creative, and I've personally been enamored and blown away by the content and the people that I've met here, and the generosity and the true essence of humanity from the communities that I've met, and it's really warmed my heart.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope.